Okay, looking at question 1A, it says draw one line from each type of organism to the diagram of one of its cells. So there's three names, so we're going to draw three lines, but there's four diagrams. So I would look at these and think which one of these is not an animal, a bacteria, or a plant cell. And I'm looking at the bottom diagram here and thinking that doesn't look like any of the cells I've drawn in class. Next step is to decide. If you are certain about one, draw your line and that cuts down your options. But for me, I'd be thinking, I know that bacterial cells don't have a nucleus, so I'm going to be joining up bacterium to the top diagram. And then I've got to decide between animal and plant. Animal cells are smaller and simpler. They don't have cell walls. So the animal cell is here and the plant cell is the middle of the top three diagrams. Over to part D, which is over here, you've got another table with some lines to draw. Draw one line from each function. So make sure you do only draw one line. And I'm looking at the structures: cell membrane, cell wall, chloroplast, nucleus. So all four of those are parts of cells, but obviously one of them isn't required in this answer. So contains genetic information. I'm remembering that genes are on chromosomes and chromosomes are in the nucleus. Controls what enters and leaves a cell. That must be what's around the outside. Cell membranes control what goes in and out. And photosynthesis happens in the subcellular structures called chloroplasts in plant cells. Down here to part C, it says chemicals are produced in cells. And we've got some sentences to complete with the words that are in the box. A chemical excreted by animals, something you get rid of. Two things you excrete are carbon dioxide and urea, and only one of those things is on the list, so pick the right one. A storage chemical in animal cells. Animal cells means I'm going to discount starch and discount cellulose because they're both only in plants. And we should remember that glycogen is how your body stores glucose in your muscle cells. Plant cells storage. Remember, we've tested plant leaves for starch, and we know that plants turn glucose into starch for storage. That leaves us with a chemical that strengthens cell walls, and we remember cell walls are made from cellulose. Okay, over to the diagram with the muscle cells on. Take a note here. I might highlight it on my paper that they're labeling mitochondria. That must be for a reason on this question. Part D, a function of muscle cells. So what do muscles do? They move you around. So they make you move. And what can we do to explain how that happens? We can say that muscle cells contract to make you move. So to write what's the job of them, you can just say muscles make you move. They cause you to move. They do that by contracting. So a really good answer would be muscle cells contract so that they can cause movement. Explain how muscle cells are adapted to their function. Use the figure above. So it means look at the diagram. This is why that mitochondria are labeled. We must need to mention them here. So muscles are adapted by having lots of mitochondria. I'm remembering what mitochondria do. Mitochondria is where respiration happens, so energy is released. So muscles need lots of energy to contract, and that's why they have lots of mitochondria. It's an adaptation. So maths here, we're calculating magnification. You always get these. Get your highlighter out, highlight the numbers. We've got 0.05 millimeters wide, so that's a real dimension, a real length, a real width. And when viewed down the microscope, the image is 2 millimeters wide, so that's the width of the image. So I've got to put them into the equation. I'm going to do 2 millimeters divided by 0.05 and get an answer of 40. Notice there's an X, it means times. The magnification is times 40. It's making things look 40 times bigger than real life.